One of my favorite subgenres of videos on the internet is the privileged American who thinks them moving to like a different country is them fleeing Mao's China or Joseph Stalin's Soviet Russia, only to come back on their hands and knees to the United States while coping about how it's still the worst place to ever possibly live. And that is exactly what we're going to be going over in today's video. We're going to be reacting to this video I got from my meme, Therefore I Am, over on X. So sit back, relax, and enjoy some premium slop tint. Let's get into the video.
What do I do when a lot of my family and friends are trying to convince me to not move to Mexico? Mainly my husband's family. Like, we can sit and list the long ass list of pros with like very little cons, but the cons are just thrown. And that's like the only thing they see. How we're gonna get a job, how we're gonna make money.
I love how you're going to get a job and how you're going to make money is somehow a very small, insignificant con. You know, it's just an afterthought. We'll consider that when we're already in a different country. You know, we'll figure it out. Also, I already know, and I'm placing my bet here. One of the pros she's going to mention about Mexico is food. Because when it comes to these low IQ people, it is always, but my food's good. The my food. I already know. I'm calling it. Place your bets now if you think it's going to happen. Let's keep watching though.
And the thing is, my husband's family is Mexican. They've lived in Mexico, but the area that they lived in is nothing like the area we're moving to. Like, it's not even comparable. Like, how is it that Mexicans have fallen for American propaganda of Mexico?
Holy buddy, this rattles me, bro. The arrogance of this statement is genuinely insane. Where you think people who clearly disliked Mexico enough to move don't know what they're talking about when they talk about Mexico, but you, someone who's never been there, believes you know more. And sure, personal experience will always play a part, absolutely. But I have people who moved from Mexico to the US, in my family, obviously. They don't have a single good thing to say about it, other than like, it's pretty, or like, oh, I grew up there, and you know, there's this level of, I don't know how, nationalism to it. That's the only good things they have to say. Like, genuinely. And I find it hilarious when you have people who never have been speak on it as if they know anything about it. Let's just keep going.
Because where we're moving is amazing. It's thriving. We're moving to Playa del Carmen, Mexico. It's like 30 minutes from Cancun. They're acting like where we're moving isn't safe or livable. We want our kids to be a majority, not a minority. I want to be a majority and not a minority. Real food.
Okay, first off, bingo, baby. I called it. I knew she was going to mention food. But imagine if one of my spiritual brothers and sisters of the pale community were to say, I want to be a minority. I mean, I want to be a majority, not a minority. Bro, the backlash would be insane. And I already know the comments in her video about, yas, queen, you're so yas. We all want to be majorities, you know. The patriarchy, my white supremacists holding us down, sister. Shut up, bro. It's just so stupid. But I just wanted to point that out. I did. Let's go ahead and go on though.
Affordable healthcare, tropical beaches, jungle, not having to fear for our safety due to racism, diversity, Trump not being our president.
Holy buddy, imagine thinking there's no racism in Mexico. This is one of the most American things I have ever heard in my life, where Americans will pretend that racism was invented in 1863 and never left. You know, only America is racist. I have an uncle who lives in Mexico who calls pretty often. And I remember we were talking, and he went on like a 30-minute tirade about how the streets of Mexico City, he felt like he was walking in Hong Kong, China, and not Mexico. He was livid. There is absolutely racism in Mexico. And you know something is worse than in the US? Because here's a fun little fact. The majority of the world is extremely racist. It's just how it is. But the small American neoliberal mind cannot comprehend Also, Trump being president, bro, get over it. Like, his 4 years are going to be up soon. Vote for a new guy. Complain about them as well. Move on.
It's affordable and we can live comfortably. Like, what about that isn't worth it? Like, I'm confused.
Because it's affordable and you can live comfortably. You ever stop and thought to yourself why it's affordable? Have you ever considered why a house in like gangland Chicago is affordable? It's because there's outside factors that you have to contend with. You know, let's just keep going though. There's the passports though, so hey, at least you were smart enough to get a passport.
We were finally able to escape the United States and we're having to move back already.
We escaped the United States. Oh my god, bro. This is like this is the new Schindler's List. We escaped the United States. We got the passports, freely walked to the airport. Maybe the TSA agent got a little too handsy. I really didn't like the way I was touched. And then we got on a plane and left the country. Schindler's List has nothing on this harrowing tale. Absolutely nothing. Let's just move on. This is so stupid.
Not even 2 months after. The reason being that our 4-year-old son got extremely sick the first week that we were here. He had a terrible fever, was throwing up blood, terrible diarrhea. His whole body was in terrible pain. He was screaming in pain and agony for days.
Okay, there's not really any hilarious commentary, I'd like to add. This is just really sad. You put your children at risks of very terrible diseases over your hatred of an orange Cheeto president. Is genuinely insane. And I fear for this child growing up, knowing he has such a stupid mother. Now at least she is moving back to the US and isn't sticking to her guns. That might lead to her child even getting even more sick. Yeah, there's nothing else I can say here other than this part is really fucking sad and yeah.
Even after we took him to the doctor and they gave him different medication, he ended up having a bacterial infection in his stomach and his body. And since then, he has recovered, but he's still having really bad lingering problems. And we're starting to think that he has an autoimmune disorder. So with that, we're having to go to the States to get him the proper care. We've had to spend hundreds, thousands of dollars out of pocket that we were not planning on.
Once again, not even 3 minutes ago, she was talking about how affordable healthcare is in Mexico. And I'm going to be harsh here, bro. You put your children in danger over your own regarded stupid political beliefs. I thought healthcare was affordable. I thought it was just as good as the US. This is ridiculous, the fact that this child even had to go through this because of the ignorance of his mother. It's actually insane.
So now, we're going back to the United States to get our son the care that he needs, and we're having to let go of this dream of living here in Mexico. Are we going to get a bunch of I told you so's? Probably. But there was no way that we could prevent our son getting this sick.
Well, you could have just not went to Mexico in the first place. Believe it or not, unlike the US, Mexico isn't very sanitary. And even if it was sanitary, there's still a lot of foreign germs that your body's not used to. I know the fact that there's microorganisms all around us is too complex for you to understand. But you might want to check that next time.
We were not expecting these hospital bills, medication. I feel really fucking sad because we got rid of everything in the United States. We got rid of our home, our car, our jobs, and we left so much just to have to go home and restart with nothing. Pray for us. Send us good vibes, please, because we really do need it.
So that is the end of this video. I mean, the beginning half was all fun, laughs, giggles, sorry, haha, hee hee, she's a fucking moron. But I feel like it should be a lesson to her and other moronic neoliberals who choose to flee the United States to a different country, that you need to actually have some sort of plan of action and not just some harebrained scheme. But I don't think they'll ever learn. Also, I'm actually quite surprised she chose Mexico, because usually Like a lot of these neo-libs that hate the US will choose like Canada or Germany or something. So I was actually a little surprised she chose Mexico, but she did mention about wanting to be a majority. So that could have been a factor. That is the end of this video. If you liked it, give it a like, maybe a sub if you're feeling extra kind. Let me know your thoughts on this whole situation down below, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Bye-bye now.